to this fourth day of the Faculty Development Program on Translation and Multilingualism. Today, we come together as scholars and educators united by a passion for language and a pursuit for knowledge. It is my honor to extend a very special welcome to Professor Ilango from the American College, Madurai. Sir, your gracious presence truly elevates this occasion. We are deeply grateful for your acceptance to be with us and for your understanding and support during a crucial moment when we had to revise our schedule. Your kindness and cooperation reflect your generosity of spirit and commitment to academia. I'm equally delighted to welcome the distinguished faculty members joining us from various colleges across India. I would also like to extend my warm welcome to my colleagues and to the organizing committee. Your tireless efforts and attention to every detail truly deserve applause. Once again, a warm welcome to one and all. May this day mark the beginning of meaningful exchanges and inspiring learning. Thank you. Thank you so
Thank you,
much,
ma'am.
Ilango sir.
Thank you, ma'am, for setting a positive tone for today's session. It's now time to introduce our distinguished resource person. I now invite Dr. P. Maruthapandian to introduce today's speaker. Sir, please.
Good evening to faculty members from all over the country. Educator Justin Tart said, teachers who put relationships first don't just have students for 1 year. They have students who view them as their teacher for life. Welcome, Ilango sir. I'm sure many such students of Ilango sir are here. Let me introduce.
I congratulate the V.O.C. College, its administration and the Department of English for very successfully conducting this FDP program. The past few days, as I listened to the great scholars, I was spellbound by their veracity of their statements. So I'm really very happy to be here, and I'm actually honored to be here. And when this topic came to me, I found it as made of two different segments. Maybe in future, you can combine them both as how to use translation as a tool for English language teaching. It's a possibility. It's a possibility. How to use translation as a tool of English language teaching. That's also a possibility. And so when it came to me as culture on one hand and language on the other hand, before
So excuse me, sir.
consists of translation such as
Maruthapandian
comprehension,
wants to
communication, interpretation, adaptation, you see, and finally ending as something like a metapoem, you see, as Roland Barthes would say, a metapoem, a creation, a transcreation. You see, before going into that, let me make a few statements. These statements are all open statements, open questions. They are not even questions. They are almost
Sir, excuse me, sir.
take away,
Sir,
to take
sir,
home,
excuse me.
take home. And
Sir,
am I
sir,
audible?
sir, you're very much audible, sir. Professor
Shall I continue?
Maruthapandi is here to. Maruthapandi sir is here to introduce you to the faculty members of other faculty members. Sir, just few seconds, sir, please.
No, I don't. I don't listen. I didn't hear you. I don't hear.
Professor Maruthapandi sir is here to introduce you to the other faculty participants.
Yeah. Okay.
And he'll introduce you, sir, for a few seconds, please, sir.
Yes. Can somebody help me with my hearing problem?
Sir, let me introduce you first, sir. Sir, I am going to introduce you now for the audience.
Can you just call,
I
sir?
promised that the floor would be handed over to me immediately. Anyway, go ahead. It's yours.
Yes, sir.
Go
Thank
ahead.
you, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Ilango sir retired as head and associate professor of postgraduate department of English at the American College, Madurai. He has 38 years of teaching experience and 42 years of theatre activities. He was mentored by Dr. Paul Love during his masters at the American College and studied his MPhil under Sahitya Academy Award recipient late Dr. K. Chellappan. He learned the ropes of drama from the versatile teacher Professor J. Vasantan of Curtain Club. He is a counselor in IGNO for Diploma in Theatre Arts. He is the founder, director of Fourth Wall Theatre, an on-campus academic theatre. Fourth Wall Theatre stages classical plays annually, which are watched by more than 5,000 strong audience from academic institutions all over the state. The performances run for an entire week from Monday through Saturday with 2 shows every day. The production crew involves nearly 100 students and staff members, providing space for developing English speech practices, effective communication, acting, ensemble of sensory perceptions, teamwork, planning time, and stress management, event management skills, set designing, music, lighting, costume, and makeup. The major productions of Fourth Wall Theatre include Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream, The Merchant of Venice, Macbeth, As You Like It, Twelfth Night, Romeo and Juliet, The Taming of the Shrew, Hamlet, and John Webster's Duchess of Malfi. Fourth Wall Theatre has also staged successfully for the first time in Tamil Nadu Girish Karnad's Hayavadana in 2000 and restaged it in 2019. Fourth Wall has also staged modern plays such as Eugene O'Neill's The Hairy Ape, Edward Albee's Zoo Story, and Samuel Beckett's Act Without Words. Fourth Wall is an active contributor to the scores of webinars conducted during COVID-19 and after by Theatre Live under the auspices of veteran Tamil actor Nasser. Professor Ilango has been chosen to be the chief translator cum editor of Theatre Live series of books, which comprises nearly 200 lectures on drama and cinema delivered by the most eminent theatre and film personalities from all over the world. He has contributed as a resource person for the refresher courses conducted by Baridasan University, Bharatiyar University, and Madurai Kamaraj University. He has conducted theatre workshops all over Tamil Nadu. His students now direct and stage plays in many institutions such as St. Joseph's College, Tiruchi, Tyagarajar College, Mannar Thirumalai Nayakar College, and the American College, Madurai. He is the official translator of the transgender and social activist Kalki Subramaniam's poems, 11 of which have been included in the book We Are Not Others. One of them, Fate, I wrote, was originally published by Skillet in its journal Kavya Bharati. He has translated all the sacred couplets of Thiruvalluvar as reread by the late Tamil scholar and educationist, former Vice Chancellor Subba Manikanath. He is the author of the book Film Appreciation for Beginners. His Tamil translation of T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland awaits publication. His translation of film director Seenu Ramaswamy's award-winning poems titled as Days of Small Brook and Other Poems is now in top 100 bestseller list of Amazon. Above all, he loves students and wants to be remembered as a teacher. Welcome, Ilango sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You see, even at this age, how enthusiastic I am to jump onto the mic the moment the door opens. You see, that kind of childlike passion, you see, keeps me alive. Thank you, Madhu, for the nice words you spoke. You see, may God bless you to keep the child and clown which is alive in me, alive in you too. You see, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Much thank. Up to me, very difficult for me to live up to that. Anyway, Rani Priyadarshini promised me that she would hand over the floor exactly at 7 o'clock. Due to some unforeseen circumstances, I have to wind up the session at 8:30. 8:30. So the moment I opened, I jumped into action. You see, please, it is opening a comedy. You see, sometimes you have to open with a bang. Sometimes you have to open with a laughter. You see, I provided the laughter. I hope I'm not the joker in the pack, at least. Anyway, let us go. So, as I told you in the beginning of this session, we could think about using translation as an effective tool of teaching English language or whatever L2 we try to teach inside the classroom. Originally, even up to 1986, it was there. It was there. And teaching of English was not just a set of skills. It was just such a delight, such a delight. And I was overwhelmed by the speakers, especially Dr. Mahendran sir yesterday, who gave us all a global perspective of English language teaching. And so I view this topic, this entire FDP, as focusing upon two things. On one hand, you talk about language, and on the other hand, we talk about culture. And when we think about culture and language, sometimes, like what you call antognon in rhetoric, sometimes we tend to overlook certain aspects, or we are not sure of what is there. Such as a statement I came across, language is a part of culture. You see, this was one statement I heard in one of the sessions. Language is a part of culture. And this is a major question we have to focus upon as teachers of language and literature, especially since culture studies has become a very important branch of knowledge in teaching of both language and literature. So, what is culture? Is culture an outcome of an aspect of religion, or religion a part of culture? What is language? Is language a part of culture, or culture a part of language? These are a couple of questions I want you to take home and think about it. You see, when we consider culture, the term culture came from two different etymological origins. If you see the second slide there in my PPT presentation, the second slide, you can find these two things. You see, is culture can we trace culture back to its origin, which is in Latin collier. Collier means to till. Later, Cicero, the Roman philosopher and senator, used the phrase, excellent phrase, culture animi. Culture animi. That means cultivating the soul. Cultivating the soul. So, to till, cultivate. The term culture came from the expression cultivate. So, it is like tilling the soil. It is tilling the soul, cultivating the soul. That is why Shakespeare, in the beginning of the opening of Macbeth, those who have read Macbeth may recall this. You see, the word, the locale, the dramatic locale of the opening of Macbeth, Shakespeare calls it heath. Various directors have interpreted that in various ways. You see, heath. What is a heath? Heath is an uncultivated tract. Is my voice audible? Heath is an uncultivated tract. So, heath there stands for, as a metaphor, uncultivated, unchristian, irreligious, or unholy mind. So does culture originate from collier? You see, cultura. From collier came the expression cultura. You see, cultura. On the other hand, people trace it back to, or they try to trace it back to another origin, that is cultus. From cultus is the origin of cult. So, cult is worship. So, the question, do you have to cultivate your culture? Is culture like democracy a progressive one or progressive one? Or is culture unquestionable? If you ask the great French dramatist Antonin Artaud, he would tell us that when culture becomes an institution, like religion, when culture becomes an institution, when culture becomes a cult, then language and art enter there to revise that cult. It is called revisionist cult. So the basic question is, what is culture? What is the relationship between culture and language? That's a $1 million question, you see. A culture can be understood as a custom, a regular practice, which is, carefully listen to this, which is documented in language and literature and art. Unless a practice is documented in literature, in art, primarily in language, that cannot become a culture. That is not culture. So it is language which decides culture, not culture which decides language. I ask you a simple question. We have so many derivations. As yesterday, Orange Mary pointed out, so many Englishes. English is no more British. You have many, many Englishes, not only American English or Indian English or British English, Queen's English, King's English. Not only that, there are many, many English. English has been liberated from the faceless drummers. You see, faceless drummers. Now it is carried over all over the world and used in different ways. You see, such expressions like cousin, sister, you cannot find in any other culture. You see, you cannot find it in West. There is no such expression called cousin, sister. Or if you say sambandhi, you cannot find an English equivalent for sambandhi. You see, or if you ask just a simple question, you see, "Day, unga veetla nee ethanayavadhu pilla?" You see, you cannot ask that in English because in English they don't have that practice. So are you going to ask how manyth child you are? Or what is your filial position? Filial position is very legal. You see, filial position in your family. These are many questions. So language decides culture. Since this practice, you can identify the presence of a cultural aspect if it is present in language. If it is not present in language, then it is not the culture at all. You have so many expressions, not only cousin, sister or anything. You have Tirunangai, Tirunambi, Idailingathavar, trans woman, trans man. You see, Idailingathavar, the scores of new and newer expressions have come because our culture has started accepting that, and language documents. Unless it is documented in language, then the identity will be non-existent. The identity will be lost. These are some of the things for you to take and think about and debate in your mind. Do we have any expression in Tamil for incest? Incest has always been there. We cannot just say Purunda Kamam. You see, Purunda Kamam can be anything. You see, Purunda Kamam is not necessarily a sexual inclination between the siblings. It can be the difference, disparagement, sexual desire, disparagement, insatiable lust. You see, but it is not there in Tamil. So it is not in the culture. Only if a practice is documented in language. That is why we have to tread carefully which is going to be the major language and which is going to be the minor language. If the minor language happens to be my mother tongue, then my identity will be erased. You see, these are some of the things as an icebreaker or warming up session for you to enter the great realm of translation, in which the most excruciatingly challenging aspect is transcending the cultural barriers. Sometimes the very idea of what is said in the original may not be comprehensible for the translator. It is very important to understand first what the original writer, the source, says. Recently, I came across a poem titled Nadu Iravil, at midnight, which is a Tamil poem, which was translated by an eminent translator. You see, I'm not critical of her eminence, but what I am telling you is, it is a fine example for cultural barrier. In that, the poem is like some Bildungsroman. The poem seems to talk about a tamarind tree on a highway. But actually, the poem talks about the happenings around the tamarind tree. If you go to the third slide, you can understand the English translation of it, the difficulty in the English translation. When the first translator did that, you see, when the first translator did that, the poem says, under the tamarind tree was considered to be the reason for everything, for the accidents, for everything. Even for a weakling, when he sleeps under the tree, when he is asphyxiated by the carbon dioxide emitted by the tamarind tree, when he dies, the blame is put on the Muni living in the tree. That's what the poem tries to say. You see, the translator, it's okay, the next slide, the third slide. Rani, the third slide. Yeah, that's it. You see, the translator did it in a way that she translated the blame was put on, or rather, what was blamed on is the sage living in the cave of the tree. Sage living in the cave of the tree. மரப்பொந்தில் வாழும் முனியின் மீதே அந்த பழி விழுந்தது. The Muni living in the hollow of the tree was accused for the death of the person who was actually asphyxiated. That's what the poem says. But the first translator did it as the sage, Munivan. Muni was misunderstood as Munivan. If you go to Meta, if you go to AI, machine translation, sometimes, mostly, Muni will come as Munivan. But the poem does not talk about the sage or hermit. The poem talks about Muni. But this expression Muni, even in Tamil culture, even in folk tales, there are various versions of Muni. Some Munis are considered to be very soft, and some Munis are considered to be very angry. So what can you do? We can just do it as when a weakling died asphyxiated by carbon dioxide, the blame fell only upon the invisible Muni living in the tree. You are not going to explain. If you start explaining what Muni is in the poem will become an explanation. The poem will lose its originality. So in such extreme cases, you have to leave it as it is, Muni. Then in the footnotes, you can mention it as a wrathful deity which lives in some trees which will harm the passers-by if they were low lives. This ought to be given in a notes, in an annotation. You cannot give it, you cannot try to translate it and explain it. Sometimes you have to leave it like that. In other instances, for example, in the next poem, in the next example, the North Indian healer, the North Indian healer of snake venom, you see, nails the advertisement on its private parts. Again, the tree is talked about. The North Indian healer of snake venom. If we do not understand the cultural context, we will think that the North Indian seller, you see, the quack is actually selling antidote for snake poison. But the poem does not talk about that. You see, remember what Dr. John Shager said in the beginning? It is not enough if we know Tamil and English. Translation is like a research. Didn't he say that it's not enough? If we can speak or write in Tamil and English, that we can translate from Tamil to English or English to Tamil. Translation is like a, what shall I say? It's a process. You have to research. You have to understand what the poet actually says. That's why I say comprehension. Like in listening comprehension, we talk about, you see, physical listening. You see, do we listen first? Do we understand what the poet says first? It may not be open. Unless you know the folk tradition, or if you don't have the ear for the earth, you see, if we don't know have the sense of the soil, what actually means the poet, what actually the North Indian healer heals of, then you have to search for that. The board will say snake venom. The advertisement says snake venom. But what is the allusion here? The healer nails the advertisement in the private part of the tree. Does the tree have a private part? No. So what does he talk about? He is actually talking about selling medicine for erectile dysfunction. Those who know that, those who have seen them, watched them, and observed the world going around. A creative writer, a translator is also a creative writer. You see, the creative writer should keep her ear and eye open to see the things around, so that you can actually truly represent, give the real meaning of the passage. Or else you will think that you are selling snake venom and walk off. Or you will think there is a sage living in the cave of a tree. So comprehension is very important. All right. If we go for the next slide, this is a kind of, what shall I say, caution note for the aspiring translators, because this too comes from my personal experience. I used to teach in Europeans so effectively in narrating. For example, if you say, David Goliathai கொன்றான். கலியாத்தை டேவிட் கொன்றான். கொன்றான் டேவிட் கலியாத்தை. கொன்றான் கலியாத்தை டேவிட். Whatever way you change the syntax, the meaning doesn't change. I mean, not right. David Goliathai கொன்றான். Goliathai David கொன்றான். கொன்றான் Goliathai David. கொன்றான் David Goliathai. If you change the syntax, the meaning doesn't change. But if you change the syntax, David killed Goliath. If you change it as Goliath killed David, the meaning changes. The meaning changes. So we read in semantics. In semantics, they teach you why a particular word is foregrounded. Why? No, it is not this grammatical pattern alone. That can be done in a machine translation. You see, even in machine translation, we have to be very careful, because there are many, if you are following hybrid machine translation, for example, analyzing the data, analyzing the grammar pattern, the usage, and then finally checking out yourself what the original meaning of that particular text is, then you can do justice to the translation. Or else we will be lost. I asked here what is in the right side of the. I am a digital moron. I'm a digital moron. You see, but I asked Meta. You see, for a possible translation of "Mother died today" in French. It started fumbling. What it did was it said exactly "Mother died today." Then I asked, translate it in original French syntax. Only after 2 or 3 questions, Meta gave me the right answer. And finally, Meta said, "Merci, Ilango. Thank you, Ilango. Merci, Ilango," it said, and went off. So the translator, don't go for machine translation. I'm not competent enough to comment upon that AI today, chatbot and other things today. I do not know. But what I sense is they are not villains. We should not be indifferent to them. We should ask the right questions. We can make our work simple, but we cannot depend upon them. It may take some 10 or 20 years for machine translation to improve. That's what I think. So even in machine translation, we have to be very careful, very careful. So what happens in semantics? We are taught that why a particular thing is in the beginning position, piloting position. Why is it something else is in the medial position? Why something else is in the final position? So this is foregrounding, backgrounding. You see, sometimes we have to fall back to correct our communication. You see, unless there is a clear inflection in the case, குதிரை யுத்த நாளுக்கு ஆயத்தப்படும், ஜயமோ கர்த்தரால் வரும். If you say ஜயம் கர்த்தரால் வரும், ஜயமோ கர்த்தரால் வரும், ஜயமே கர்த்தரால் வரும், then there are 3 different meanings are arrived at. You see, if you do not have that, the different cases inherent in that, then it will be very confusing. So why a particular thing is in the beginning? In the case of Albert Camus, then it will open up so many questions. Mother died, okay, but what the real problem is mother's death the real problem? Those who have read Albert Camus' The Outsider would know that. You see, is his mother's death, Meursault's mother's death, the real problem, the real issue? Is he judged for his mother's death? Or is he judged for the murder he committed? How was he judged? This is a question. Or had his mother died on any other day, would Meursault's life have been different? Would it have a different destiny? Yes. When you read the novel, that question also comes to our mind. Had Meursault's mother died not on a weekend or on some other day, then things may have been different. We do not know. So the time, the content, the context is very important, not only in translation, but in our life too. So translation becomes a process of understanding what is really spoken, what is really said. Translation becomes a kind of sometimes translation becomes a rereading even. A rereading even. Translation becomes, you see. For example, when M.T. Vasudevan Nair, he wrote the Malayalam fiction, a rereading of Mahabharata. A rereading of Mahabharata. The title of the novel is Rendamulam. Rendamulam. Those who are from Kerala, if they are here, they will tell you more about. Excellent novel. I have read it in translation. When you read it in translation, you would feel like reading the original. It's a magic. When you read Sachidanandan's translation of Balachandran Chullikadu's a poem, John Evede, as Where is John? Where is John? The English reading will give you a conviction that you are reading the original. We do not know. I don't know Malayalam. But when I read it, I get the illusion. Like watching Christopher Nolan's Interstellar and almost getting the illusion that we know space science. You see, like that. This translation will give you the original sense, like reading an original poem. You see, read Balachandran Chullikadu's John Evede, translated by Sachidanandan as Where is John? Because it is a much researched work. Much research. Like that, M.T. Vasudevan Nair, he retold Mahabharata from Bhima's viewpoint. He titled that as Rendamulam. You see, Rendamulam. You see, if you have the slide there, we have the slide there. Rani, change the slide, the next slide. Rani, are you there? The next one. Yeah. You see, M.T. Vasudevan Nair's Rendamulam. You see, R.K. Ravindranath has translated it with the title into English, with the title The Second Turn. The Second Turn. Kurinjivelan is a very good translator, a Tamil translator. You see, he has translated it into Tamil as Irandavathu Idam. If you write Irandavathu Idam into English, it reads as the second place. Whereas Ravindranath translates Rendamulam as the second turn. Ravindranath's translation is actually not only comprehension and communication, it is also an interpretation. It gives a clue for the reader. What is that clue? Bhima is not only second in hierarchy. He is not only occupying the second place. Dharma, Bhima, Arjuna, Nagula, Sagadeva. You see, Bhima is not only occupying the second place in the princely hierarchy. Bhima is in the second turn as the husband of Draupadi. As their mother has told them. But the second turn for Bhima as the husband of Draupadi never came to reality. If we read Mahabharata, we will understand Bhima is the greatest warrior. Another person, you see, Gita Krishnamurti has tried to translate that as lone warrior. Lone warrior, you see. Because Bhima was always lonely. No other Pandava has done as much of sacrifice, has given as much as Bhima has given. He lost his turn. He lost his princely position. He lost his son. You see, I want all of you to read the translation, the second turn. But Bhima is the one who is often called Mandan. M.T. Vasudevan Nair actually gave that fiction to filmmaker Jayaraj. Jayaraj wanted to do, actually M.T. Vasudevan Nair wanted to do the film with Mohanlal in the lead. Since Mohanlal's call sheet did not fructify, the movie did not happen at all. You see, sometime later it may happen, but MTV, the dear MTV, is not here anymore. You see, so second turn is very important. Why second turn is very important? Because after the Kurukshetra war, after everyone dies, while post to life, while they are going to heaven, what happens? Draupadi faints. She's not able to walk further. And Draupadi is disowned by all other Pandavas. And Draupadi finally dies in the lap of Bhima. That is in Mahabharata. So many gaps are there. So many gaps are there in classics. It is for us to pick them up and create, interpret, and newer works can come up. So this translation, Renda Moolam, talks about not only the point of view, but what we have to look forward to. In what way Bhima's second turn never came. It almost becomes a postmodern reading of, I should not say postmodern reading because the narratology is very beginning, middle, and end. But I'm talking about the visual, the vision, the perspective. The perspective is to fill the gaps. You see, a classic work of art not only tells a story, it has so many gaps for us to fill. So, in that way, sometimes, you see, translation will become an interpretation. In some other instances, translation will become a meta poem in itself. Move to the previous slide. You see, there are two poems. You see, I'm just trying to do this for the people who aspire to become translators. After my session is over, if you think about certain points I made, I may not have time to elaborate upon them, but if you take these points and remember them when you do translation or when you teach translation, that will be a new experience. If not, you have already come across it. It will be a new experience. See what happened in the first translation. It is, yes, ma'am. Punmari, ma'am. Yes, it is Kalki Subramaniam's Kuriyai Arutthen. You see, Kuriyai Arutthen. Translated as Phallus I Cut, because the first translation, the first poem, Vidiyai Eludineen, had already been translated as Fate, I wrote. Fate, I wrote. So when the next poem came, Kuriyai Arutthen, it was thought to be apt, appropriate to translate it as Phallus, I cut. Phallus, I cut. You see, do you understand at the very outset, I cut phallus, I wrote my fate. These are all possible. Am I making sense? These are all possible. The meaning is arrived at. But it is totally personal, subjective. Sometimes this subjectiveness may leave some flaws in us. But a translator is also contributing something to the poem. I don't know. I don't know. It is up to you to discuss it. We must be faithful to the translation. The great translator, Dr. Vincent Sir, who is now beyond 85, and he has translated more than 85 words, who was awarded the government's Best Translator Award just a couple of days back. Or if you ask Dr. K. Chellappan, former professor, my professor, Dr. K. Chellappan, who got the Sahitya Academy Award for Thagoor's Gora, you see, or if you ask the doyen of translation, the great professor, Dr. Marudhanayagam, and they will tell us the translation is not just comprehending the meaning and communicating it. It is what shall I say? It is grasping the rhythm in it. It is not just the syntax, grammar, and the diction. There is also an inherent rhythm in it. Vidiyai எழுதினேன், குறியை அறுத்தேன். You see, now phallus, fate. The translator wanted to foreground it. You see, because there is something dramatic about that. In Tamil, it comes as Vidhi in the first position. If I translate it according to English, I wrote my fate, or I myself wrote my fate. Good. I am giving the meaning, but I lose the translator. Let's go the rhythm in it, the immediacy in it. What you can call the poignancy in the original. Okay, the poignancy in the original. The poignancy in the Tamil original places Vidhi, fate, in its beginning, piloting position. Kuri, phallus, in its piloting position. So, one should not lose it. So we do it as fate, I wrote, phallus, I cut. But the opening line read as மாதவம் ஏதும் செய்யவில்லை, மங்கையராய் பெர் மாதவம் ஏதும் செய்யவில்லை. குறியை அறுத்தேன், குருதியில் நனைந்தேன், பெண்ணாக பிறந்தேன். It's like a dithyrambic ecstasy. The pain. Once somebody asked a teacher who was teaching Dalit literature, he challengingly asked, what is your aesthetics? What is your aesthetics? Had I been there, I would have talked about so many thin ice. But the young Tamil, teacher of Dalit literature, who was so emotional, he answered, pain is my aesthetics. Pain is my aesthetics. You see, though no Dalit I am, I can feel the impact, the poignancy in the answer. Pain is my aesthetics. So there is a pain in that. One should not lose that pain. It says, மாதவம் ஏதும் செய்யவில்லை. குறியை அறுத்தேன், I cut my phallus. குருதியில் நனைந்தேன், I drenched myself in blood. பெண்ணாய் பிறந்தேன், I was born a woman. You see, something like that. Something like that. You see. Now what happens is, மாதவம் ஏதும் செய்யவில்லை. Those who know the famous poet Kavi Mani Desiga Vinayagam Pillai will know that that poem, that line is an allusion to the poem Mangayarai Pirappadarke Perum Madhavam Seidida Vendumamma. To born as a woman, as they say in Sanskrit, if you have a son, there is salvation for you. Putra, Bautra. You see, there is salvation for you. If you, I don't know Sanskrit, I know only these two words. You see, if you have a daughter, Bautri, if you have a daughter, you will not have a rebirth at all. You see, that's what. So, Kavimani Desiya Vinayagam Pillai says, Mangayarai Pirappadarke Uru Madhavam Seidida Vendumamma. To be born a woman, one has to one has to perform a penance. You see, that's what he has said. Now, alluding to that, she says a bitter, wry language she uses. Madhavam yedum seyyavillai. Mangairai pirappadarke, she doesn't say it. Had she said it, one could have translated that too and made the audience understand, the L2 reader understand what he means by Madhavam yedum seyyavillai. But she leaves it at that. Madhavam, it is an allusion. It's an allusion, it is not quotation. Madhavam yedum seyyavillai. Kuriyai arutthen, kurudiyil nanaindhen, pennaga pirandhen. I was resurrected. You see, now, though this allusion cannot be recaptured in the translation, because the allusion needs to be a Tamil poem. You cannot, every time, you cannot use your footnotes. That will leave the reader agitated. There are certain exceptions, like Muni, you see, snake venom. There are some exceptions. They are what you call culturally untranslatable. You can translate it, but what will happen? The poignancy, the precision of the original will be lost. It will become a synopsis or a summary, or what shall I say, a paraphrase of the poem. That's not right. That's not right. So, but you have to do justice. So what happens in the English translation is, no transcendental yoga did I perform to transform myself into a woman. At least we can do that. Madhavan can be said as, no transcendental yoga did I perform to transform myself into a woman. This is a problem. So we have to take in all these things and think deep and wide while doing a translation. See a simple poem, simple Tamil poem. ஒரு தீபத்தை கொண்டும் மறுதீபம் ஏற்றலாம், ஊதி அணைக்கத்தான் மனிதன் தேவைப்படுகிறான். You can light a lamp with another lamp, only to put it out. You need a human being. You see? But when you translate that, you see, you have to say, you shouldn't come there. So, deliberately, one has to go for the passive voice. A lamp can be lit with another lamp. You don't give responsibility to you or I or they or anybody, because this poem criticizes the triviality of humanity, triviality of human beings. The moment you can light a lamp, then you are attributing some positive quality to the human beings there, which is not there. G. Nagarajan சொல்லுவார், the Tamil writer G. Nagarajan would say, மனுஷன் இருக்கிறானே அவன் மகத்தான சல்லிப்பையன். Human being is a great silly fellow. You see, மனுஷன் இருக்கு, because like Sundara Ramasami's short fiction குரங்குகள், you see, monkeys, he finally finds out the monkey is so intelligent, so powerful, but it does not know how to let go the snake, dead snake. Holding the snake, it jumps from tree to tree and hurts itself and dies. And the writer says, you see, an old man says, a Reisenauer voice tells the readers how big you are, how talented you are, how powerful you are, how lit you are. Don't you know this simple thing? So here we talk about the frailty of human beings, the frivolity of human beings. You see, the silliness of human beings. So there we cannot use you or I or they. You see, we have to do it as ஒரு தீபத்தை கொண்டும் மறுதீபம் ஏற்றலாம், ஊதி அணைக்கத்தான் மனிதன் தேவைப்படுகிறான். Deliberately, we have to use passive voice. A lamp can be lit with another lamp. Then, when you talk about the negative point, you see, the negative point, you have to insist upon that. You have to deliberately, you have to focus upon that. What is the focus? A man is needed. A man is needed. Only two. Now the question is, if I say only two, put it out, then automatically the readers of literature, the readers of Shakespeare would be reminded of the bedchamber scene in Othello. Maybe the translator's fear was far-fetched, but it was not unjustifiable. When I am reminded of that, why not? Thousands of people will be reminded of that. You see, then we should not escape into a turkey syndrome. Whenever we come across a challenge in translation, we got to work upon that. Even if it is a single word, we got to work upon that. Then the outcome will be very good. If the translator uses put out the lamp, then one is reminded of the famous Santana classes in the bedchamber scene of Shakespeare's Othello, put out the light and put out the light. Immediately when your memory goes there, see, like Roman Jacobson says, language recalls not alphabet, nor letters. Language actually brings into your mind, after much research with the speech impaired people, with special children. Roman Jacobson arrived at this conclusion that language actually associates itself, a word actually associates itself directly with an image. Whenever those children were thirsty, they would look at the blow up on the wall, which had a falls. So the picture of falls, when they looked at the picture of falls, these people will understand that the child is hungry. The child associates that with an image. So language also is directly associated with an image. Language is directly associated with an image. Language is directly associated with an image. That is why we are averse to certain words. வரும் ஞாயிற்றுக்கிழமை அன்று விசேஷம் நடைபெறும். அது விசேஷம் தானே. It is a positive thing. Why do you use the expression அன்று? My father would say, வரும் திங்கட்கிழமை அன்று. Please, தம்பி, don't use the expression அன்று. It is an auspicious occasion. Why do you use the expression அன்று, which also means not only on that day, but also no. அன்று is also a negative, it has a negative meaning. So this sound will create a meaning, a feeling, an emotion. You see, so when we talk about it as put out the lamp, what will happen is people would, many of them, literary readers, would immediately go to the bedchamber scene. Then the whole image will become so soft, so tender, so romantic. The violence is missing. So finally, you have to arrive at an expression like blow it out. There is violence in the expression blowing it out. Blowing it out. You see. So even if it is a small, simple word, we have to focus upon that. That is very important. You see, shall we go to the next slide? Shall we go to the next slide? Yeah, you see, here is a very simple, here is the literary translation. You see, Roland Barthes says that translation is metapoem. You see, there are so many works upon translation, especially translating poetry. Roland Barthes simply states that translation is like a metapoem. You see, when you translate from L1 to L2 or source language to target language, what happens is you are almost creating something new. You are neither going out of the text, at the same time you are what shall I say? You are like the hermeneutics. Every time when a reader reads a text, not only the horizon of the textual meaning is, not only the reader's comprehension is enhanced, but also the horizon of the textual meaning is extended. You call it in reader response theory. You see, hermeneutics. You see, you transcend the meaning of the poem is not a lock and key thing. It is not static. If it is static, then naturally it is not poetic at all. Poetry, I use it as an inclusive expression for literature and art even, you see. So every time you revisit it, or it revisits, it should bring in a new meaning, you see. There is a famous passage. When I gave the passage to a workshop, I myself was something new came to me from the students. You see, that is typical in the grammar pattern of Shakespeare. You see, so the passage is from, you may have guessed well. You see, easily you could have guessed it. And the passage is from Romeo and Juliet. That is the famous balcony scene. And when they part, when the lovers part, Romeo tells Juliet, let sleep dwell upon thine eyes, and peace in thy breast, where I would sleep in peace, gently on the rest, where I would sleep in peace. You see, if I were sleep in peace, I would gently on the rest. In Shakespearean English, it was typical Shakespeare. You see, Shakespeare was the one who coined this grammar pattern. You see, where I would sleep in peace. So this where I would becomes bifocal. You see, it focuses on sleep and I, peace and I, gently on the rest. There is a Tamil poet, a lyricist, a famous lyricist, movie lyricist, film lyrics writer, Kannadasan. You see, when he had an opportunity, he would read, voracious reader. And in the apt moment, he would recall. A creative writer is actually reading, understanding, observing, you see, and remembering and recalling. You see, we don't create really anything new. You see, maybe the point of view, maybe the gaps left deliberately for others to fill it up, or reinterpretations according to the context. You see, what you call contemporaneity and contextuality. The context, when was it said, and contemporaneity according to that. Kannadasan is a master in that. And when he translated, when he wrote a movie song, he used this famous passage, as he used many things. He actually beautified the original. You see, தூக்கமும் கண்களை தழுவட்டுமே, அமைதி உன் நெஞ்சினில் நிலவட்டுமே, அந்த தூக்கமும் அமைதியும் நானானால் உன்னை தொடர்ந்திருப்பேன். He did not bother about தூக்கமும் அமைதியும் நானானால். If I were thy sleep and peace, if I were thy sleep and peace, would gently on the rest. This is the translation of Kannadasan in Tamil. This is the grammar pattern of the Tamil translation for those who do not know Tamil here. You see that the grammar pattern as translated by the Tamil poet is, if I were sleep and peace, would gently on the rest. You see, but you see, Kannadasan compensates that with the expression na na na. A small girl, a first year girl, pointed that out. I gave this passage. I gave this passage to them and asked them, not for translation. I gave both and asked them which word, which particular thing, aspect in the translation you admire most. One girl, one participant stood up and said, na na na, na na na, na na na. Sir, there is a rhythm in that. You see, it keeps on going, sir, na na na. Nan என்றால்னா, it wouldn't, there would have been something else, sir. You know, na na na. You see, because nan என்றால், consonants are there. You see the rhythm, the music in the original ought to be captured here. Na na na. You see, na na na. You see, that gives a kind of immortal effect, eternity to the translation. I was stunned. Because I did not focus upon that. I had not focused upon that till then. We used to focus upon the expression, Amaidi un nenjinil nilavattume. If you read nenji, the expression nenji, actually is amazing here. You see, because in Tamil, Nenju stands both for Manadu and Marble. You see, Nenju Vali. If you say Nenju Vali, you mean chest pain. If you say Nenjirukkum Varai, if you say Nenjathile nee netru vandai, you see, then what you mean is you visit my heart. You are my heart. You see, so it stands both for metaphorical meaning, emotional content, and as well as the physical, the realistic content. You see, Shakespeare has used it as breast. You see, typical of Shakespeare. You see, because Romeo and Juliet are attracted by their physical appearance first. They are of that age. In that age, physical attraction is something great. It's like the figure a poem makes is the same as that of love. That's what Robert Frost says. The figure a poem makes is the same as that of love. That is true with Romeo and Juliet. They do not use anything else. They see each other and fall in love with each other. So the physicality, the physical content, even when they meet each other, they'll be like two puppies playing with each other. That's how you have to perceive them. They're small kids. Don't imagine them to be grown-up lovers. You see, they are something like the Kurundagai poem 40. Yayam yayam yaragiyare, yendayam mundayam yemmurai kelir, yanam niyam evvadi aridum, sembulappai neer bol anbudai nenjam dhaan kalandaduvai. When we met, we do not know each other. We are not related. In spite of all these things, when we saw each other, when we met each other, you see, like water flowing into a desert land, like water flowing into a red soil, our hearts mingled inseparably. You see, like that, when they saw, they fell in love with. Kandadum Kadar, love at first sight, without asking any question. Munnappanum, Yennappanum, Tirunelveli Pillaimargal, Niyum Nanum Ore Oor, Thiruvada Oor, Yenave Sambalappuya Nerbol, Anbudai Nenjam Dhaan Kalandaduvai. Not that kind of love, calculative love. You see, this love at first sight. So the breast must be retained there. So Kandadasan beautifully includes that physical aspect also, not foregoing the emotional content, even the spiritual content. You see, so he uses the expression, he has covered upon the exact word ninjam. Had he said marble, it would have been just breast, physical. Had he said manadu, it would have been emotional. He mixes both by using the expression ninju. So the literary poem, the literary translation, the rhetoric is actually a meta poem. All of us have to remember that. You see, so these are the many things we have to bear in our mind. I have a simple slide there. It's a very simple thing. You should not be angry with me. Sir, are we primary teachers not to know that? No, that's not the point. That's not the point. The point is, when I tried machine translation, this came out. You see, rule-based machine translation, you see, or logic-based machine translation, or sometimes statistics-based machine translation. There are various ways. Hybrid machine, because every time when we have a conference on translation, at least one question comes from the audience. Sir, what do you think about machine translation or AI? I do not know. I'm not competent to answer it completely. But I have my own doubts. I have my own distrust about this machine translation. Because machine translation doesn't, if any of you have any of you has done it successfully, please share it with your partners and me. As far as I am concerned, sometimes I have even scolded Meta, because at one point it was almost like flirting with Meta because of the name Meta. It sounded very feminine to me. So I started addressing her. You see, Meta, and she also said, she also said, Ilango, after 60 plus, whom should I flirt with? It is better to flirt with a machine. You see, so, but every time, sometimes I would scold her. While discussing T.S. Eliot, once I scolded her. You see, are you crazy? So please, don't get angry with me. I was rather something like that. The machine translation always would like to make it up their mistakes, its mistake. For example, English has its own beautiful grammatical pattern. You can use it as Noam Chomsky says, colorless greenery sleep furiously in the desert. That is also grammar. Colorless greenery sleep furiously in the desert. That's also grammatically that is correct. Who said it is not? But the content, the meaning, the usage, the original sense of communicating something. You see, we should get as close as possible to interface communication. Am I not right? You're not right. Whether we speak over the phone or in online communications or written communications, we try to break what shall I say, the fatigue use of language. We have to liberate language from the fetters of fatigue use. That is why once I said, we keep on writing such expressions like, I am fine, hope you are fine there. So the expression becomes very blunt. No, not even blunt. It has lost its edge. It has lost, like saying thanks or asking for sorry. It becomes very redundant. The redundant use has killed, destroyed its inherent meaning, the original meaning. So one writer writes, Ni ingu sugame, nan angu sugama. You are well here. Am I fine there? He says. You see, so it is an attempt to break yourself free from the fetters of fatigue use of language. You see, so in that sense, we try to get close and closer to interface communication. That is why when I am talking, if often my eye would go to see my image there or the PowerPoint there. If I look at the PowerPoint there or my image there, then I will not be looking you into your eyes. Am I not right? So I have to keep my eyes to the camera so that you would feel like we are talking together, eye to eye conversation. This is one trick we have to use. If I look at myself or look at the PowerPoint, we may not have eye contact. So we are getting close and closer to interface communication, whatever gadget we use. So this is something like, if you say, in Amma எனக்கு ஒரு அழகான பாவாடை தந்தார். If you translate it, Amma, என் அம்மா எனக்கு ஒரு அழகான பாவாடை தந்தார். It's enough if you say Amma, you see. So it is enough if you say mother. If you say my mother, if you go by that syntax, you see, my mother, எனக்கு, to me, you see, I don't have to elaborate that. It is there. It's there. English has its own beauty. You see, my mother gave me a beautiful skirt. You see, my mother gave a beautiful skirt to me. No, my mother gave me a beautiful skirt. This is I may not right. I may not right. Correct me. That is actually the usage. My mother gave me. My mother gave me. My mother bought me. My mother gifted me. You see, me comes first. The skirt comes next. You see. So this you cannot expect from machine translation. If 100 people have done something, then the machine translation would go to that. So it may take some time for machine translation also to grow up. We don't know. So my my suggestion is, don't go for AI translation. You go for meaning, you search for it, or machine translation at this point. And also, translation is not only for the reader, translation is also for the translator. Unless you keep on trying that, already since Google came, we have lost the exercise of rummaging through the pages of dictionary. You see, I may not take. We directly hit at the word, but it did not happen in those days. For example, my students here like Rani Priyadarshini or Mardu Pandian should know one fact. When I taught Thmesis in my classes, T-M-E-S-I-S, Thmesis in my classes, I did not research for Thmesis as a rhetoric device. In CEIFL, today it is IFL in Hyderabad, Central Institute for English and Foreign Languages, I was preparing in the library a paper on Heart of Darkness as a continental lie. This was the topic of my paper. I was going through dictionary for something else, and I just stumbled upon that. It was a serendipity. Thmesis was a serendipity. Like that, Carl J. Jung's Mithridatic effect, which I often used in my tragic drama classes, because generally they talk about catharsis or Freudian wish fulfillment. Catharsis or Freudian wish fulfillment. It was a serendipity for me to stumble upon Carl G. Jung's Mithridatic effect, reality preparation, I suppose. This happened because I was rummaging through the pages of a dictionary. I came across that glossary because of that. Today, if I hit it, then directly I will go to the meaning. So this is a problem with us. This is the problem. We are already at loss, like calculator coming and spoiling our mental arithmetics. You see, like two-wheelers coming, and we have a special thing called walking today. You see, human beings have a special thing called walking today. Like Emily Dickinson writing, bird came down to walking. What a pity it is. We go for walking. Human beings walk naturally, but we have to go for walking because of this automobile. So things make the inventions, machines make our job simple. At the same time, they should not leave us lazy. They should not leave us uncreative, unproductive. It is not just cut and paste. It is an exercise. This exercise will be profiting the original source, the reader, as well as the translator. That is why I suggest we can use translation as a tool inside spoken English classes at least. You see, we can do them. There are so many things, but I leave all these. These are just notes, you see, suggestions, you see, for you to read. These are just theories, you see, an overview of the many books. You can take them home and read them when you have time. These are all available on net. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. We don't have time for Bharati now. We don't have time for it. It's a big thing. It's a big thing. Anyway, thank you so much. Thank you so much. If you have questions, either you can type them in the chat box. I have some 5 more minutes, or you can send the questions to Rani Priyadarshini or the department. They will share it with me, and I will definitely answer those questions. Don't worry, I won't run away. Don't worry. So Thank you so much. Thanks for your patience. Thanks for your patience. And for the non-Tamil speaker participants, my sincerest apologies because I know only two languages. I know only two languages. But you did not lose anything. I tried to translate it in the ordinary way and as a translator's task. I did it. All the poems did I translate in Tamil to you. I started doing it as an ordinary translation. And then I switched over to translator's mode. Translator's mode. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for the perfect blend of intellectual and enthusiastic lecture. It kept us fully engaged from the start till the very end. Truly inspiring, sir. Your energy, your passion, and your wisdom. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for the great
Thank you, sir.
opportunity
Thank you so
to be
much.
a part of this great
Thank you, sir. Thank you for
program. Thank you so
accepting
much.
our invitation at short notice.
Thank you, Priyadarshini, once again.
You are a savior.
Thank you for being my technical assistant. Thank you so much. Thank you.
It's okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Really sorry, sir. We have troubled you today.
Thank you.
As we